The Lord is near to the brokenhearted. Introduction. When the heart feels heavy. Life is unpredictable. One moment, everything seems fine, and the next a storm arrives, an unexpected loss, a painful betrayal, or a dream that shatters into pieces. Have you ever felt so broken that even words failed you? Have you ever wondered if God truly sees your pain? Psalm 34 verses 18 to 19 gives us a powerful promise. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. But what does this truly mean for someone walking through the darkest valley? Today, we will explore this verse through real-life experiences, a timeless parable, and practical steps to find healing in God's presence. Understanding the Scripture, a God who draws near. David, the author of this psalm, knew what it meant to be brokenhearted. He wrote these words in a season of distress, hiding from King Saul, who wanted to kill him. Yet, even in exile, David found a deep truth. God is not distant from our suffering. He draws close. Unlike human comfort, which often feels empty, God's presence brings restoration. He does not merely observe our pain from afar. He steps into it with us. But how do we experience this nearness? How do we recognize His hand when our hearts are too shattered to see clearly? A real-life story. The woman who thought she was forgotten. Sarah had always been the strong one, the one who held her family together. But when her husband unexpectedly left, taking their savings with him, everything unraveled. She found herself alone with 2 children, a stack of unpaid bills, and a heart that felt beyond repair. Nights were the hardest. She would lie awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling abandoned by God. If you are near to the brokenhearted, why do I feel so alone? She whispered into the silence. One evening, overwhelmed by despair, she went for a walk and sat on a bench near a small church. She had no plans to enter, but an older woman sitting outside struck up a conversation. "You look like someone who needs a friend," she said kindly. That simple sentence broke something in Sarah. She poured out her heart, and the woman listened without judgment. Then she said, "I don't have all the answers, but I do know this. God is closer than you think. Sometimes He sends people to remind us." Sarah left that night with something she hadn't felt in months: hope. Over the next few weeks, through small acts of kindness from strangers, she saw glimpses of God's nearness. A neighbor paid for her groceries. A church offered childcare so she could job hunt. Healing didn't come all at once, but she was no longer alone. A parable, the broken vase. Imagine a beautiful vase, handcrafted with intricate designs. One day, it falls to the ground and shatters into pieces. The owner has 2 choices: sweep up the fragments and throw them away, or carefully gather them and restore the vase. But what if the restoration makes it even more beautiful than before? In Japan, there is an art called kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired with gold. Instead of hiding the cracks, they highlight them, making the restored piece more valuable than the original. This is what God does with our brokenness. He does not discard us, He restores us. The very wounds we thought would define our pain become the places where His grace shines the brightest. Practical steps. How to find God's nearness in brokenness. 1. Be honest with God. God is not afraid of your raw emotions. Cry out to Him. David, Job, and even Jesus expressed deep anguish in prayer. When you bring your pain to God, you invite Him into your healing process. 2. Look for God's presence in small ways sometimes. God's nearness is revealed through people, nature, or even a moment of unexpected peace. Pay attention to the small signs of His love. 3. Surround yourself with support. Isolation deepens brokenness. Find a trusted friend, a support group, or a church community that will walk with you. 4. Hold on to His promises. Scripture is filled with reminders of God's faithfulness. Meditate on verses like Isaiah 41 verse 10, "Do not fear, for I am with you." And 2 Corinthians 1 verses 3 to 4, "The God of all comfort comforts us in all our troubles." 5. Let God use your story. Your brokenness is not the end of your story. One day, what you've been through may be the very testimony that brings healing to someone else. Final challenge: trusting the hands that heal. Brokenness is not the absence of God's love. It is often where we experience it most deeply. Just as the shattered vase can be made into something even more beautiful, your life is in the hands of a loving Creator who specializes in restoration. What if, instead of fearing our brokenness, we saw it as an opportunity for God's love to shine through? What if we believed that He is truly near, even when we cannot see Him? Reflection question: how have you seen God's nearness in your hardest moments? Share your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe for more biblical encouragement and testimonies. Turn on notifications so you never miss an episode.